Our guests this week are Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks. How you guys doing?
Good, man. Just living life.
Great, man. A little jet lag, a little tired. We just landed here we're in Rhode Island. We landed in Boston a couple hours ago, and feeling all right. Drinking a big cup of coffee right now.
Oh, that's good. It's a good way to start. Well, Ring of Honor's next pay-per-view will be Global Wars on May 8th in Chicago Ridge. The Young Bucks will be part of an 8-man tag team match. For casual Ring of Honor fans, what can they expect from you two in the match, and how do you prepare for what is sure to be a wild matchup?
Good. Well, man, you know what? It's always a blast when Ring of Honor does pay-per-view shows. There's always an element where Matt and I say, hey, you know what, let's go balls to the wall, so to speak, and do a lot more because a lot more eyeballs are on the product. And so for a pay-per-view match, we'll do a little more crazy, yeah, I guess you could say. And I don't know if you want to add on.
Yeah, we got my mom and dad coming too. They've never been to Chicago, so it's going to be a really special night. Just in that aspect, it's always fun to, perform in front of our parents who are just so proud of us. They're the biggest Young Buck supporters in the world. So having them out there in the audience will be extra cool. Also, another element of the match is we're teaming up with guys that a tag team we've never even really teamed with Gods of Destiny, God. That'll be interesting, having that type of dynamic. A couple of Gorillas of Destiny, a couple of guys with crazy animalistic features and painted faces, along with us, might be kind of funny, add a different element to that style of a match. And then the guys we're wrestling, we're talking about some of the best wrestlers in the world. So it's going to be fun and interesting, and we're excited for it.
Mike Chiari?
Yeah, well, free agency is something that big names in the business don't necessarily get to experience that often. But you guys got to go through it not too long ago. So looking back at that process, how did you enjoy it? And what did you learn about the interest level and the perception of your brand out there?
Oh, man, that's a good question. We knew that we were pretty hot when we started getting fillers out from pretty much every company that exists that matters. And so we pretty much said to ourselves, hey, let's accept an offer, because at this point in time, we were pretty burnt out doing the indie schedule that was pretty much nuts. We were doing triple shots literally every weekend, flying out of LA Thursday night, getting home Monday morning. So it wasn't much time at home at all. So we figured, hey, let's sign somewhere where we could make some good money, but in the meantime, spend some time with our families, And with that being said, Ring of Honor came up to us with a deal we pretty much couldn't refuse to take. And they also said, hey, we know New Japan's a big part of your guys' career. We'll keep that on the table, as well as PWG. And that was pretty much set in stone. We were like, all right, this feels like what's right. And it was the best offer financially that we were given that was on the table. So we figured, hey, let's try it out for a year and see what's up. And we're, five months in?
And we were fearful of signing anywhere because we're known as the do-it-yourself Young Bucks, the guys that we're the punk rock band that go from small town to small town. So if we're going to go sign to any type of exclusive, deal, it's almost like you're going corporate. So we were afraid like people were going to think that we weren't staying true to our word and stuff. But you know what? I feel like we're not even really under a deal because ROH is so good to us, and we feel we have so much freedom to express ourselves. So like I still feel like we are the same Young Bucks. If anything, I was afraid we were going to kind of cool off, but if anything, I think we've actually gotten even hotter. And I think it has to do with us being able to put more time into our brand and to be home and to refresh and not to be just so burnt out all the time on the road. I mean, we're still on the road a lot. Don't get me wrong, but we're not having to go from town to town to town. Sometimes we're only doing one show a weekend.
Yeah. Like Matt says, we could focus now on 3 companies, not what we were doing, 20?
And we were spreading ourselves so thin, man. And now we just feel like we're at the top of our game. Like I watched back a match we had last weekend against Delirious and Cheeseburger, and I told Nick, this is everything I love about pro wrestling. Like I feel like we've reached the peak of our act. Like, we know what the Young Bucks is, and we're finally being able to display exactly what we are. And I think this contract's helping us understand who we are as performers.
And it teaches us what type of value we bring to a company when we're signed. Like, for instance, in 8 months, we feel like we're going to be even hotter free agents by then, because our stock has risen up from what we've been doing this year with guys like Kenny Omega and what we've been doing with Ring of Honor and whatnot. And, but like we were just saying, free agency was fun, and we're just happy to be where we are now.
Brandon Galvin?
I think one of the biggest reasons fans appreciate the Young Bucks is because you two truly embrace tag team wrestling. As one of the most popular tag teams in the world, what do you guys find to be the most important aspect of building the Young Bucks brand? Is it the personality, the ring gear, the double team moves, or something else you contribute to your success?
I mean, it's a combination of all those things. It's not the fact that Nick and I are both singles wrestlers and then we happen to just be a team, and no, everything we do is cohesive. It's tandem. It's from the way we look, to the way we walk to the ring, to the way our attitudes are, to the way that everything happens in the ring, the way we set up the psychology in our hot tags. Like, everything we do is geared towards tag team wrestling. None of us are selfish. I'm not out there trying to get myself over. I'm out there trying to get the Young Bucks over, and the same goes for Nick. We've never looked at ourselves as, we're going to be one day we'll break up and one of us will be a singles star. That's never going to happen. We're never going to split up. Because I'll tell you right now, I have no interest in being a singles wrestler, and neither does Nick. So maybe we are where we are in tag wrestling because we both know that this is what we want to do, and there's nothing else that we want to do. And our entire attitude, everything we do in wrestling is geared towards tag team wrestling.
Yeah, you pretty much nailed it. I don't think I could even add anything to that.
Oh, perfect. While you have found success in the United States, your time with New Japan has really made you international stars. What has working overseas taught you about the wrestling business, and how much of what you learned there carries over to the American wrestling?
Man, it's taught us a lot. We've been in New Japan for just about 3 years now, and I'll tell you this, the last 3 years that in our career, not just Japan, but in North America as well, I feel like the last 3 years have been the strongest work we've ever put on during our career. I don't know if that's just because we keep growing as wrestlers, or if Japan indeed has helped that, but I'm not too sure. But what it has taught us is more of the wrestling style, of the Japanese style of wrestling, the more I guess you could call it the strong style, or I think like it's taught us how to perform in front of 7,000 to 10,000 people a lot better, like to do certain things for not just for the front row to see, but all the people all the way in the nosebleeds section. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it's like we've learned how to make our act larger than life, and bigger, so that it comes across on pay-per-view and television and in arenas and stadiums instead of just a gym or a smaller place where indie wrestling is held. One thing I think we've gotten better at because of Japanese wrestling and wrestling in Japan so much is being on tour, wrestling in front of a crowd that doesn't speak a lick of English. So it's one thing to go out there and get over in a U.S. crowd in front of U.S. people or people that speak your language, but when you're out there and they can't understand anything you're saying, and there's that language barrier, and the culture is so different, and you're getting over in front of people who don't really know you, that's truly how you get good.
Yeah, you're right.
When you're wrestling in front of people who have no idea who you are, because sometimes we're wrestling in these country towns. Nowadays, they know who we are, but in the beginning, the first year, we go to these country towns in Japan, these people don't know who we are. So we're almost reteaching these people who we are, and reintroducing ourselves to these people. Listen, we're the Young Bucks. This is our act. And it's almost like we're starting from like all over again from scratch every single night on the tour. It's like having to do that every night on these long tours in Japan for the first couple of years really helped us grow as performers. Like we just learned so much out there, and we brought that to the U.S. And I think it's helped us become more. I guess our entertainment values up. It's not just pro wrestling now. We have more character things. Like sometimes we get bigger reactions, you know, having Nick say "suck it" to the crowd in a funny voice, and the crowd's engaged right away, or a silly antic we do with the cold spray. Like, we just try to think so outside of the box now, and I think wrestling in front of people who don't speak your language, it's like a fast course to get you to become better.
Yeah, totally agree.
Mike Chiori?
Well, you guys have the opportunity to work in different companies and experience all kinds of different tag teams and tag team wrestling styles. So with that in mind, how would you describe the current state of tag team competition across the entire wrestling world as a whole? And how do you think that compares to where it was earlier in your careers?
Oh, I think that there's definitely a surge of better tag teams nowadays in comparison to when we first started. When we first started, tag team wrestling wasn't really even around, right, Matt? Yeah. Especially like in the bigger markets, like WWE. Like 10 years ago, there wasn't much even around at that point. But with that being said, Matt and I both said to ourselves, "Hey, let's make this as big as possible, and let's make tag team wrestling relevant again." And I feel like we've achieved that with the likes of guys like Motor City Machine Guns and guys like Frankie Kazarian, Christopher Daniels, and Red Dragon, of course, for Punk. There's a lot of great tag teams right now, and you know what? WWE's they've got a few good ones as well on the uprise, with them signing Luke Gallows and Anderson and the Usos and the New Day, and the Dudleys are there again. And I feel like right now we have proved that tag team wrestling makes money. I feel like we've proved that in Japan. I feel like we've proved that in America. And I think finally WWE is seeing that light, and I'm hoping that it'll be a big part of their plan nowadays. So I don't know.
And you know, we, like Nick says, we've proved that tag team wrestling draws money. I mean, Nick and I have been working on top everywhere we've been going pretty much for the last 3 or 4 years, and we've been selling more merchandise than most wrestlers probably that aren't signed to WWE. We're probably the top of the list, and that's proof that there is money in tag team wrestling. I don't know the last tag team that drew the money that we have on merchandise, maybe the Hardy Boys or something. Yeah. But I'm so proud of that and so humbled by that. But I think it's proof that there is money in tag team wrestling. It's not this dead thing that died with the Rock and Roll Express in the 80s or the 70s. Yep. It's still around. I think it peaked during the TLC era back in the 2000s. But I think it's definitely on the upswing again.
Yeah, and just to add a little comment, I think it was 2014 when we worked the Hardys for the first time, right? Yeah. But it was reported that was the largest, biggest indie crowd of the year, which was the Hardy Boys versus the Young Bucks in the main event. So it shows you that it draws money.
Brandon Galvin?
You mentioned Kenny Omega earlier, and the Elite has taken wrestling by storm recently and is already one of the most popular factions. How important has the Elite and the Bullet Club in general been to the development of the Young Bucks in and out of the ring?
Oh, man, that Bullet Club is probably the biggest thing that we will ever do. We all the members originally talked about it, too, and we knew it was huge when it was starting to get momentum in the first year and a half, and we were like, man, guys, we have to try to enjoy this movement, this moment, because it is bigger than us, and we really felt that way, and we realized it was growing our brand as well when just the merchandise was just going nuts. Like the shirt that probably our number one selling shirt of all time is the Super Kick Party parody of the Bullet Club logo, and man, we've sold thousands of them, which is crazy, but it's because of how popular the Bullet Club brand is and was.
Yeah, the Bullet Club thing, it's like we were all buddies. We all traveled together. We had this undeniable chemistry. So whenever any of us were together, we always brought out some fun side or edgier side in each other. Like, I'd never seen that side of AJ Styles until he came out. He became Bullet Club, and he hung out with us at ringside, and we would just bounce ideas off each other and just act silly or goofy or whatever. Gallows and Gunn, the same thing. Those guys are naturally charming, hilarious dudes. So just being out there with them, screwing around with them is funny. Kenny's a real quirky guy. So, like, I think Bullet Club's even brought out more on his silly side. Like, we all just really, like, when we were all together, it was like this magic, we created cool almost. Like, and I think it resonated when people would watch it, because if you're having fun, then the people watching are having fun with you. And that skull logo represents everything of that era, that era of Bullet Club, where we were, just tearing it up every night in Japan, cutting the silliest promos, going to sponsor dinners and super kicking the guests. And it was one of the most fun times of my career. Like Nick said, I don't know if honestly, if we'll do anything other, bigger than that ever again. But and then the elite thing is something that Nick, myself, and Kenny created on our own years ago. We would talk about it on the bus. We would always joke about, who do you guys think is the elite of wrestling? And we would always put together our list.
But the list always included the three of us.
Of course, not to be biased. But so one day, when AJ Styles was leaving and we kicked him out of the Bullet Club, on the fly, we were done doing what we had scripted, and Kenny says to us, "Should I go back in the ring and give him a Styles Clash and you guys super kick him?" And all the other Bullet Club guys had left at this point. And he asked that to Nick, and Nick said, how about you ask Matt? And I'm always down for anything. So Kenny goes, "Matt, should we do it?" I said, "I'm right behind you." So Kenny slid in the ring and picked up AJ, held him up for the Styles Clash. We gave him the double super kick, and he gave him the Styles Clash. The place went nuts. And that was the birth of the Elite. And right then and there, I told him, like, we need a shirt. We need to brand this thing. Yeah. And we ran this thing on our own. We didn't ask for permission. We decided to be the Elite, and it became the Elite. And now it feels like New Japan's jumping on board with it. It was just the last time we came out to the ring, I saw the Elite on the big screen. I said, okay, they're accepting this thing.
Yeah. We felt like people were writing off the Bullet Club, like, as a whole. And we figured, hey, it's a different era of the Bullet Club now. Let's add this little twist within the actual group. And you know what? When people say the Bullet Club's done, I don't like that, because now it challenges us. Right. Now Matt and I are saying, okay, you think it's done? Let's make it even bigger than what it was.
Wait until we have, wait until we come up with more ideas. Exactly. And what are we going to do next? And with Kenny, the three of us, we're like real life, like, best friends. Like, he's one of my best friends in professional wrestling. Like, we have a group chat that we talk in every day. We're talking wrestling all the time. We love the business. We love pro wrestling. We are three professional wrestlers. We're so much alike. Of any members in Bullet Club, the three of us have the most in common, and we just gravitate towards each other. So we ride together. We eat together. So the Elite was just going to be a thing either way. Whether it was going to be called the Elite or not, the three of us gravitate towards each other, and we're in. And I think Gato, who's booking this thing, just naturally sees that we're a natural fit. And he's starting to book it. And it's just perfect, because the three of us, we make these silly videos. We have a good time. And I think that's the future of the Bullet Club, is the Elite.
All right, final round of question here, guys. You have wrestled some of the greatest tag teams in history during your careers. Which tag teams did you look up to as you were getting into the business? And are there any teams in the current wrestling landscape that you'd like to get in the ring against?
Yeah, the Hardy Boys, number one. The Rockers, too, but we never got a chance to wrestle them. But I'd say number one would be the Hardy Boys, because we knew that there was a small percentage, a small chance that within our career we would wrestle them, and we eventually got to, and we had the opportunity to wrestle them, 3 times? Yeah. So 3 times wrestling the guys that we pretty much looked up to and wanted to pretty much model our career off of what they did. To wrestle them, it was just eye-opening. It was awesome, and they taught us a lot, because they're just phenomenal guys.
I said to Nick, and I told them too after the match, I said they're the best tag team I've ever been in the ring with.
Yeah.
And it comes down to everything. I'm not just talking, they're the best guys that have the best moves. It's everything. It's
the little things.
Their presence. It's their timing.
Their fan interaction that they have.
They just get it. And I think wrestling did make us better wrestlers. So we picked up a lot from that. As far as who do continue to like wrestling, I mean, the ROH tag team division is out of this world. That's one big reason why we decided to sign here.
I'm thrilled that the Motor City Machine Guns are back, because they're probably our greatest rivalry that we've ever had, along with Frankie and and Christopher Daniels
Right.
and Red Dragon, but and the Briscoes. It's crazy.
Even tonight in War, we're wrestling All Night Express.
Yeah.
I mean,
War Machine, you name it. Ring of Honor has the top tag teams, so that's what makes it such a good mix for us being here.
And then if we're talking possible, down the line dream matches, I hear there's a couple good tag teams down in NXT that I'd love to wrestle. On Raw, I'd love to wrestle New Day. I'd love to wrestle Usos. Man, it would be fun to wrestle Chad and I call him Chad, Machine Gun and Gallows.
Yeah.
We never even got to do that. That'd be fun. It's like Bullet Club colliding. There's a lot of interesting matchups that I'm sure that'll happen down the line.
And we got to wrestle the Dudley Boys a couple times too, which was another just crazy thing because, like Matt said earlier about the TLC era, that was like the golden age for tag team wrestling, and for us to wrestle two of those tag teams from that era, it was pretty cool.
Mike Chiari?
You guys are currently one of the most popular teams in the world, obviously, and you've enjoyed a lot of championship success, but it kind of seems like fans are always looking ahead to what's next. So when you guys look ahead, what's the end game and the ultimate goal for the Young Bucks in terms of where you want to be and what you want to accomplish as a team?
Yep. We have a window. We realize that because the style we do is so crazy that last year even we said, hey, we got probably 10 more good years in us. So currently we're at 9 years left. We're thinking, hey, in that 9-year window, let's try to make as much money as possible. We don't care where it is. It could be in someone's backyard. If they're paying me a good salary, you know what I mean, I'd be fine and happy with that. I don't care about going anywhere to make my living as long as my family is fed and I'm saving money and I'll be able to retire in that 9 years, then I say, hey, we had a hell of a career.
And another thing I love, because I love professional wrestling, is I want to have that sense of fulfillment. Like, as long as I'm having fun and I can be an artist, it doesn't really matter where it's happening. But if I'm doing that, I'm happy. I'm making a good living. I'm selling a crap load of T-shirts. My kids are both happy and healthy, and my wife is the same. I'm a happy man. So, I mean, I don't know what the end game is. Right now, I'm so happy with where we're at, what we're doing. We do things on our own terms. We have all the freedom in the world to be ourselves and to be artists. I can't see it getting any better. Like, I just want things to continue, whether it happens in the WWE or NXT, or if it stays in Ring of Honor, or like Nick said, if it happens to be my neighbor's backyard. As long as I'm happy and my family's happy, I'm happy.
Yeah, but never say never with any type of possibility. You always have to be open with whatever, because you don't know what direction things will go in this wrestling.
Right, wrestling in 2016 is so unpredictable,
Yeah.
so I could never say never about anything.
Yep.
BG, final question?
You mentioned earlier that you have no plans to stop tagging with each other, but naturally fans wonder what it would be like to see the Young Bucks wrestle against each other again. Have you thought about what it would be like to wrestle against each other again?
I don't think there's any interest, man. Like, I think people dream, that'd be a fun match, but I think if we got to the ring, people would be like, I don't know if I want to see this. Like, people want to see the Young Bucks tag team act.
I was just going to say this. I think the only way that would happen is during the Super Junior tournament in Japan, where we have to do singles matches. So
we'd have to be forced into it.
That would probably be the only opportunity that match would happen. And if it did happen, I bet you it would be a great match. And hopefully it wouldn't make like the fans think, hey, they should have a program together, because it ain't happening.
No.
But I think that would be the only way that would happen.
Well,
It would be fun too Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish.
I was just saying it would be fun, though, too, because the times that Matt and I have had singles matches, they've been very fun, because we have a lot of chemistry, obviously, together, working as a team for the last 12, 13 years. So, like, I remember we wrestled in Germany one-on-one during a tournament, and I felt like we had a really good match.
Yep.
And then we had one on TNA on Impact one night, which was only given 6 minutes, I think, but I feel like we tore the house down during those 6 minutes that we had.
Awesome. A huge thank you to the Young Bucks for coming on the show. Catch them stealing the show in Ring of Honor and New Japan Pro Wrestling. Tell the fans where they can buy your gear and where they can support you guys.
You can buy our T-shirts at prowrestlingtees.com/youngbucks, or we've got our own website with tons of things like pictures and posters, stickers, and other size kids T-shirts, anything you can think of. We actually have socks even now.
And we're going to have ring-worn gear soon added to that.
That's at theyoungbucks.net. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm Matt Jackson13.
And I'm Nick Jackson YB. And our social medias, other than that, with Facebook.com/theyoungbucks, and then our Instagrams are the same
Matt
as our
Jackson
Twitters.
YB and Nick Jackson.
So thanks for supporting us, and we appreciate you guys having us on.
Oh, another huge thanks. Good luck moving forward, guys.
Thanks, guys.